Coach, just how do you approach a camp like this as you watch these young players get your first maybe opportunity to see some of them? How do you approach it?
Yeah, I mean, the approach for us is much like the players themselves, is get familiar. We want to get familiar with them as much as they us, and it was a really good week for that. I think Adam Mayer and the development staff organized all the details of the camp day to day, and I think they provided, it was a very well-rounded camp in that regard, with that being the objective. A chance to intermingle and a chance to get to know each other and get them oriented into what we want to do, what our vision is here with the Sabres, and obviously a feel for our community. So all of that was great. I mean, the crowd today was amazing. The crowds all 4 sessions, today being I think the 5th session. Every session there was the building had a big crowd and an atmosphere, and I think the kids really felt it. So pretty neat experience for all of them, and obviously a good I don't want to say evaluation for us, but a good orientation for us with them as well.
You're able to put names, faces, and not just names on paper or guys on tape. What's it like to see them out here and how it matches kind of the organizational agenda here with speed and skill?
Yeah, well, it's, we were making trades even a year ago for players that were experienced veteran players, and we're moving them out and getting, some very good, obviously high picks and lots of picks. And we've had, I think, 22 kids drafted in the last 2 years. So in the last 14 months or so, 22 new players coming in our organization. I think our scouting staff has done an amazing job, especially after I watched these 5 days. There's a lot of talented kids out there that now the determining factor is going to be their love and passion and fight to make it. But there's enough skill that there's a lot of players in there that could be real impactful to winning at the NHL level. They've just got to keep pushing themselves. So I think our scouts have done their job. Our development guys will continue to do their job to help those players along in their path. And then, as you mentioned, to finally put the hockey player to that name we drafted, and watch some of the skill out here as a head coach here, and a guy that's been, worked with kids these age. That's really exciting. It's great for me to get kind of a vision of what that player could be, see their skill set before it comes into the NHL, because what happens a lot from the head coaching side is you don't watch players before they enter the NHL, so they have a whole different skill set than you're going to see when they enter the NHL. You put a player in the NHL for the first time and it's survival, and so you don't see their skill set as you would when they're at a lesser level. So it's hard for you to gain a vision of that player in his road to becoming successful in the NHL. So it's very important for us to watch this as well, and a lot of value in it for me this week.
A little off topic, Don, but free agency did happen this week. What were your thoughts on Comrie and Labushkin in particular, since those are guys who are going to be in your room?
Yeah, I've obviously spoken with the two of them and talked with lots of players, even that I coached around the league, that have called me before I could call them to ask, and had really good things to say about both of those guys. They fit, they fit our needs, but they fit what we wanted to in people and competitors. We didn't need to do a lot. We're an organization that I think month to month, week to week, you guys know, we know we're going to get better by virtue of our age. We've talked about that a lot. So, we've added a lot over the last 12 months. We didn't need to add a lot over the last 12 days in that regards, but we feel we added the right pieces.
What he brings here to your defense? Does he bring something a little bit different than maybe some of the other guys you have on your defense?
Ilya Labushkin, yes, he absolutely does. He's obviously different in the standpoint. He's more hard-nosed. We can use him in penalty kill situations, but he's probably more physical than the rest of the group, and I think he'll push guys in that group to be more physical, and I think our young guys will actually learn to pick up some of his traits. Anytime you put more talent in your lineup and more experience, they'll learn from each other. Owen can learn from Darlene, and Darlene will pick up some pieces from Owen, and so as we move this franchise and keep stability, you'll see that as part of the synergy. The players learn from each other. I think, Thompson picked things up from Skinner last year. We bring Tuck in, they pick up things from each other, and they implement that in their game, and again, that synergy develops. We're seeing that. We don't want to mess with that because we know we're in a window of a high growth period for our organization.
How intriguing is Eric Copley from this standpoint? Just he finally got to play a little last year. Quietly one of the league's best backups. He's always been a guy. He's been in demand. He hasn't played a lot, but I mean, you guys think there's growth? Just how intriguing is he as not a prospect, but just a young goalie?
Yeah, he's competitive. We know that. He's a worker. We know that. I've had one another head coach in the National Hockey League tell me we're going to have to kick him off the ice in practice, and then a player that played with him that I coached said the same thing about 20 minutes later in a conversation. So he's a hockey guy. He's a rink rat. His hockey is his passion. He now has experience. So there's two good things in the formula. And he's willing to put that work in. He's got a lot of hindsight by virtue of playing, and he's had to fight through adversity. Obviously, as you mentioned, being a backup's not easy. So there's a lot of things that are coming to a head there. But the years, I think he's used the experience over the years of being a backup and being competitive. He's watched, and so he's got that appetite for more. And we feel that if we give him more, that all those ingredients point to a high chance of success. So we're excited for that reason, for those reasons.
When you watch Portillo and Levi out here, every session, they're basically the stars of the session. They're good
Yep.
throughout the whole thing. Even when they're getting beat on in that first session, they're making great saves. That has to give you a good feeling to know, because you know you have good young goalies, but now you got a chance to see it. That had to give you more confidence in them, didn't it?
It was exciting. I don't know if it gave me any more confidence. I'm confident in them. They're workers, and it was fun to see two. You probably won't catch me ever recorded saying I enjoyed 2-0-0 games, but they played 2-0-0 games there, and it was fun to watch. So, and it was when they went head to head in those scrimmages. So, yeah, it is. Rewarding. I guess it's nice to see that Kevin's been very patient, obviously, and you can be patient, and it's through that patience you're saying, okay, what direction are we going? Where's this thing going? And then when you see those two players and so many others out there, we can all start getting a feel of, okay, the direction we're going, and I like it. So. I think everybody has their own viewpoint on it, but I like it, and those are two guys that, as I mentioned, when you put skill and talent and passion on the same group, and you keep it, and you keep putting that together, they all learn from each other, and they all push each other, and that's what we saw today with Portillo and Levi.
What did it mean to see Dylan Cousins drive up here and take it to practice?
That was pretty neat. I mentioned I was on the telecast there with the guys, and I was texting back and forth at the draft table with a couple of our guys this year, and one of them was Dylan, and Dylan was telling me how awesome it was to watch the draft, and he's watching the players we drafted and doing research on them quick, and I said to Dylan in the text, I said, how is it, these are the guys you're going to be mentoring? And his reply right away back was, I'd be honored to. And then a day or two after, he called me and said, hey, I'm coming in for the camp. He wanted to be here. So he finished his workouts where he's working out a couple hours from here, and got in his car and drove in for the day and spent time mingling and following the groups around, interacting. And it's good for Dylan. We all know in this organization that Dylan is a leader and can be a leader. And now he's got more NHL experience, and he wanted to lend a little bit of that and feel to these guys. I'm sure he'll do the same when training camp opens.
More to Savoy, and I saw him. He's spent almost a whole session sitting and talking to him. Does that mean more to a guy like him that a person like Dylan would come and do that?
Yeah, I think it means a lot to any one of these guys when they know Dylan Cousins and any other player is taking time out of their day, and in this case traveling, in Dylan's case to be here, and they know by the body language and everything else that he did it for them. He came in here for them. He didn't come in here for him. He came in here and wanted to be under the radar and let these guys know, hey, we're paying attention to you, and we want you to be as successful as you can be. And that's the nice thing we're building here. I think the support the players, for me as a coach, when I see the support from player to player, there's no jealousy. There's no, when we saw late in the year, Owen Power scores a goal, our bench erupts. Like, there's no threat that somebody's going to take my ice time or whatever. There's a excitement, like these guys are going to help us win and achieve more. And so I think that's all tied in with Dylan being here. He wants these guys to reach their max as quick as they can, knowing that it's going to make all of us better.
Having guys like Owen and Krebs, do you kind of get that same type of, they get to develop that leadership, being kind of the older and guys that everybody are looking at as NHL type of guys? Yeah,
it's there's a neat dynamic going on, and the two guys we had last year that were war A's for us were Okposo and Girgensons, and I know there was lots of talk about, even before we appointed them 2 years ago, leadership of Cousins in Middlestead, and the young guys could move up, and Darlene. But what's happened over the last year is we appointed Girgensons and Okposo as captains last year, and they have such a pride in being pride in the privilege of playing in the National Hockey League, but then here in Buffalo, and they carry themselves so well that I think the guys around them picked up on that quite a bit. So now when they're leading, with in their own way, with that in mind, with getting a bigger picture through those guys over the last 12 months, I'd say. And so, I think that's really important. I think one of the things Kevin does is he empowers people, and we try to do that, and it's empowering the right people. And then that you empower the right people, that it starts bleeding through the organization in the right way, and we feel that dynamic's gone, and I think this is a perfect example of it.
Thank you.
Yep. Thanks, everyone.